Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a world that feels like it's constantly shifting, and we're using a recent NDTV World Report as our guide. We're going to talk about a pretty controversial new pay-to-stay visa in the US, check in on a major trade deal to see if it can finally get over the finish line, and then do a quick roundup of protests and military tensions making news all over the planet.
So let's kick things off with this quote from the report. It just perfectly frames our first topic, right? It signals a huge shift in how America is approaching immigration.
All right, here's our game plan. First up, we're going to unpack this new golden visa program. Then we'll get into those really tense US-India trade talks. After that, a quick look at other big headlines from around the world, and we'll wrap it all up with the key things you need to know.
Okay, before we go any further, let's define a term you're going to hear a lot. A golden visa? It's basically a path to residency that you can, well, buy. Lots of countries have them, but the way the US is doing it now, that's what's really turning heads.
And we're also going to be talking about tariffs. You hear this word all the time, right? It's really just a simple but super powerful tool in trade talks. It's a tax a country slaps on goods it imports, usually to protect its own industries, or, to get some leverage.
All right, let's dive into the first major story. The report says the U.S. has just launched what's being called the Trump Gold Card, and it pretty much does what it sounds like. It creates a direct, pay-to-stay program for residency.
So what's the price of admission? Well, according to the report, it is steep. If you're an individual who wants this fast-track residency, you have to cut a check for $1 million, straight to the US Treasury.
And what about for companies? Say a business wants to sponsor a foreign employee to stay in the US. Well, that price tag doubles. We are talking $2 million per person, paid right to the government.
Oh, and the costs don't stop there. On top of those huge payments, the report points out that every single applicant also has to pay a $15,000 processing fee, and that's non-refundable.
Now this really shows you how much of a game changer this is. The old system, the EB-5 visa, was all about investment for jobs. You had to put money into a company that would create at least 10 jobs. This new Gold Card, it throws that requirement right out the window. The goal isn't creating jobs anymore. It's all about bringing cash directly into government coffers.
And this quote right here tells you everything you need to know about the motivation. The report says the goal is purely financial. The administration is hoping this brings in billions directly to the US Treasury. So if you remember just one thing from this section, make it this. This policy reframes a piece of US immigration into a straight-up financial transaction.
Okay, let's shift gears to another massive international story, those high-stakes trade talks between the US and India. After a whole lot of tension and stalled progress, the report suggests we might, just might, be seeing a thaw. The report really hammers this home. After a long time with stalled talks, missed deadlines, you name it, one major issue is still the central roadblock. It's the one thing stopping a big deal from actually getting done.
And that crucial sticking point? It all boils down to one word: agriculture. The U.S. is pushing hard for more access to India's enormous market for its farm products. But India is, understandably, super protective of its own agricultural industry, which supports millions and millions of families.
And this lays out the conflict perfectly. For the U.S., it's all about opening up a huge new market for American farmers. For